of all, I'll welcome you to this podcast by Clean. We are calling it CLEANscape, and we have started this podcast to bring to the people the stories, especially from the DRE sector. And since you are a valuable member of Clean, and you help us with a lot of things at Clean, um, we wanted to know your perspective about the DRE sector, especially coming from your own experience in your state. So today we have with us Mr. Augustus Suting, who is officer on special duty for the State Council of Science, Technology and Environment in Meghalaya. Hello, Augustus, sir.
Hello, Abhishek.
Yeah. Did I take the title correctly? Like that is your official role, right?
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is your official role, right? Your title is
Yes.
correct.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll begin with my first question. Uh, so, uh, Firstly, what does the SCSTE, that is the State Council of Science, Technology and Environment, do, and what is your role in it?
Yeah. Well, if we talk of what we do, then it's the whole environment. But then I'll just zero into certain um, to the mission that we have. This is to ensure effective utilization of science technology for the overall development of the state. So that is in a nutshell. It covers everything from students to villages to research organization. And my role here is to link with different departments that do development work within the state, outside the states, to see what are the science and technology gaps in every sector and subsector, whether it's PWD, PHE, health. We look at the gaps and we try to address these gaps through appropriate technologies available with research organization, technical NGOs, and individuals, entrepreneurs, innovators across the country and even outside. We are linked to the CSIR labs. We are linked to the other council. So through this network of different organizations that look into science and technology interventions, we try to pitch in the technologies to create an awareness on the type of technologies that are appropriately looked in for the development of the state.
Right. So then my next question, following up to this, would be how and when was the SCST established? Like, what was the purpose, why it was established?
Earlier, there was no such department in the country all over India. It was way back in 25 years back when MGK Menon. I'll go into the genesis of how the councils are in
Yes,
all
sir.
over India.
Yes,
There
sir.
was no councils then across India 25 years back. And there was a need then when MGK Menon was the advisor to the Prime Minister. And Sam Petroda, if you have heard of CDOT, of the technology and IT sector. We looked in that they require science and technology in every spheres of life, but there was no organization that looked into this. So the central government started initiating the setting up of different councils in different states. And for us, it was constituted on 30th January 1995. The state council was constituted, but it was registered under the Meghalya Registered Societies Act 1983 on 15 July 1997. So we are around 25 years old. And we started with many technologies. We look at popularization of science. We look at a specific project where we fund academicians in different research works, be it in botany, zoology, and we also look at scientific research and appropriate technology development and entrepreneurship development programs. So we have an array of interventions that look at the spectrum of life within the state. Yeah.
That is some wide variety of work that you do, sir. So to focus especially on DREs now, what would you say is Meghalaya's potential in terms of DRE technologies, also especially micro hydropower plants, since uh, we know that it's a hilly region and micro hydro can be efficiently established there.
Yeah. Well, our our intervention, our vision for micro hydro was not new. Right from those days of the council's inception period, we tried to do a small micro hydro project. That time, cross-flow turbines was not known in India. And we tied up with Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore, long time back, to do the cross-flow, but we failed miserably. We failed in the sense that because technology needs to be, it needs to grow, it needs to be adapted. So we don't have even the fabrication unit. We didn't have technicians in. So the turbines were made in Bangalore. Design was done in Bangalore. Fabrication was done in IIT Delhi. No technical manpower we have. When there was we brought in the turbines. We tried to do with the community. Community is not interested in the sense that they don't see it to have a potential for them. So there was a lot of if and but teething problems. And then the financial problems we had, we could not, every time we could not do R&D work. We didn't have the budget, like a scientific budget, where we can spend lavishly on these. You need, one screw breaks down, we have to ask for approval. So we could not do it. That was a gap that and I was brought in then for micro hydro. I was brought into science and technology, specifically to look, because I'm a mechanical engineer, but we failed. But failure in technology, but it has given us success in intervention with community, how to dialogue, how to talk to community. Because we thought then giving electricity was development, quote unquote. But for community, electricity was an added burden because you have to pay the electric bill. So these are things that they don't have to pay earlier. They would sleep early. At 6 o'clock, they'll sleep off. One lighting comes in, then they start buying TV, fridge, and then they add to what we call today global warming. If we had stuck without it, that time, it would have been better, I feel. They would have been more healthy because they would have slept earlier and woke up early, get a lot of UV rays during morning time, which we don't get nowadays because we get up very late. So these are issues. I won't go into this because I think time is too short for all this, but that's a learning for us. So our marriage, I would call our marriage with micro was a disaster, but the learning took us through to a lot that we still need it now. We still need to see it. And the technology of Indian Institute of Science on cross-flow turbines was very well taken in Sikkim and Bhutan. So then today, if you look at cross-flow turbine that is there today, it was not that technology that was there earlier. Those days we had governor, no ELCs. Today mostly it's electronic power. So I've seen from from the scratch till what it is today, the technology, how it has grown and improved in leaps and bounds. And Meghalya, for that way, has a beautiful potential for RE. But then, as I said, the technical backstopping is still very, very weak. We have 6,000 odd villages. Our land is called abode of the cloud. We have the heaviest rainfall in the world. Okay, we have 3 agroclimatic zones. We have lots of waters and streams. Most of the villages are named for water. When we call it means water. We have Umber, Umyam. We have a lot of, the potential. We have a lot of sun also. But then we have not been able to touch on this. And I think it's the need of the hour where we need decentralized. We need human resources. We need technologies that are affordable, easy, accessible, and acceptable. 3 A's in any sustainability. So unless we have this kind of intervention, unless we have people who have the technology and the appetite to work for community, it shouldn't be a rocket science kind of technology. It should be ground reality type of technology. So what we are looking at now is not lighting it per se. We're looking at if this DRE can be used for livelihood, for productive end use, running a rice mill, solar dryer, all these kinds of small technologies that would help us a lot. So we still don't have a DRE roadmap, which I feel is what is required in the state. There should be a roadmap of what are the potential, because we have 90 days of cloudy days. So solar will not work in those 90 days of cloudy days. But during those 90 days of cloudy days, there are a lot of wind, there are a lot of rain. So can we tap in on wind resources? Can we tap in on water resources there? Can we have a hybrid model where on winter we run it on solar, on summer we run it on micro hydro? We can't have a standalone unit of only solar per se. It'll not work. And this is the uniqueness. This is where we saw there has been no integration of any technology yet that links wind, solar, and micro. And if it does, it's too high cost to be acceptable or accessible or affordable by community. That, in a nutshell, is what are the gaps that we see. And we still don't know how do we address this, because it's not one department, no? It's a lot of departments to take care of this. So that's why we're looking at how can CLEAN and its network and others, how do we work? Because if we can crack this gap here, this nutshell here, we can do it across the country. That would bring development across the country, because the uniqueness of our state is also the uniqueness of other states. It's still the same problem. How do we solve it?
Yeah. Right. And so from all of these years of experience that you have in the field, you must have definitely seen some success stories, some impact stories that you would like to share with us. So can you name a few? Can you explain a few?
Yeah. Well, I told you about our failure with DRE long time back.
Yes.
So in 2004, we saw a small village called Sakre village in East Jaintia Hills, one of our district, which is very remote. It's in the middle of a reserve forest, and they were having around 70 households, 50 to 70 households, no electricity. So they were burning a lot of candle, for lighting, and they used to buy a lot of kerosene to light their houses. And so then, but we saw there was a PHE water tank that was giving water to other villages, and it was right bang next to their village, and the water used to overflow. So we started looking for a technology that how do we generate power from here. So in our search for this technology, we came across the hydroger of Nepet, the small pico hydro developed by the Nagaland Environmental Energy Development Agency. And we brought it. And it was very interesting that from that wastewater of the PHE department, we could generate power to light those houses. So the houses were all lit up with LED in 2006. Yeah, it took us 2 years to do a small work. But that was not the success story that I see. I see it from a different perspective. This village was not a census village. So they were not getting MNREGA kind of job, the work for food kind of job, because that was meant only for villages that are under the census. So we brought in the deputy commissioner, Mr. Abhishek Dhawale, to go and inaugurate this small intervention that we had done. And then it takes us 3 hours to walk into the forest. And when he inaugurated, he then came to know that it was not a census village. So he, using his good office, he ensured that the previous coming year, it was registered at the census village. So they could get the ration card, the rights and entitlement. So, that's how I look at development. I don't look at it from the perspective of technologies, but I look at it from the perspective of social angle. But there was one village, one household that refused to take electricity. And there was an old lady in there. So nobody could convince her that we're giving you free electricity, because the village were charging, I think, 5 rupees per household for maintenance in a month, so that they could break down. And she was an old lady, very aged. So we wanted to give her free, but she refused. Then we asked the question. She said that the house might get burned because she has seen sparks coming out from the motor. So we could not convince that lady to have electricity in her house. She was still satisfied in her comfort zone. Candle was good, kerosene was good, but not this new alien development initiative of ours. So that's it has an impact on our team as a whole. That when you look at technology, not all people will accept. You have to accept that also. So that was one of the stories that I have not been to that village again, because it's been a long time, but those people, it seems, used to still use the machine, but now they have got electricity. So that's where these DRE type of technologies, when grid comes in, they become a failure or obsolete. So that's where we need to use them. Now that learning for us is use it for productive end use. That way there'll be sustainability in an initiative on the DRE. So that is one of the stories that I've seen that has an impact on us. Then there's another where a private entrepreneur used to run a micro hydro project for processing of his tea leaves. He has a uh, beautiful tea plantation, and electricity from the grid was erratic. So he had a beautiful place where he could generate up to 50 kilowatt. So being an entrepreneur, he did a 25 kilowatt. Through that, he runs his unit, and it's self-sustaining. So it convinces us that we need to look at this kind of model. That's the initiative that the State Council of Science, Technology, and Environment would like to take for any of the intervention. It has to create jobs and entrepreneurs. That's the mantra now.
I loved how you pointed out very clearly the importance of the human angle, even with the existence of technology, because it's very difficult to convince the communities of technologies, like you rightly said. So the adaptability definitely suffers if the community itself is not convinced of its use. So then my next question to you would be, how do you envision the growth of the DRE sector in Meghalaya?
See, the potential is very high, Abhishek. Potential, it's a virgin land with, as I said, so many streams and rivers, so much of beautiful sunlight, so much of biomass waste that we have, being mostly 80% is forest land. But how do we tap it judiciously? How do we, that's what I said. Our mission is to ensure effective utilization of science and technology for rural development overall in the state. But we don't have the know-how and the knack to do it. That's a gap. That's the gap within us. That's why we need partners. We need more people. We need knowledge, because poverty of knowledge is worse than poverty of materialistic thing. You can get money, but you don't have the knowledge. If you don't have the knowledge, you won't get anything. So we need the information of what are the technologies available, how do we go about it, how do we mentor people on this. Our job is now to create this kind of opportunities that we see, be it in solar, be it in any of the rural renewable energy sector, because it's linked to livelihood, it's linked to economics. So we need to integrate all this on a value chain. We just should not look at it on a lighting per se or a livelihood per se. We need to look at it, can we use energy for health, running a PHC? Can we use energy to run a school lighting in the night when they don't have electricity in the day? Where can they come to the school and learn? So, it's an area of opportunity to we have, but we need to have entrepreneurs to tap it. Our role as a government agency is just a catalytic. We are just a facilitator. We should not be doing the entrepreneurship program part. that we should create an enabling environment for entrepreneurs and enterprise to grow. We may do pilots to show that this technology works, to do kind of a guinea pig kind with DRE. But as I said, we don't have a DRE roadmap for Meghalaya. So we need to develop that first. We need to again look at technologies available within the country, outside the country, that we can pilot in the state and see whether it's acceptable by community, is it accessible by community, is it affordable by community. Then tell them that these exist and this is how you go about it. We have to learn ourselves first and also unlearn ourselves, because learning is easier, but unlearning is difficult. So that's how we are looking at it.
Very well said, sir. Uh, so I have this one last question for you, and it is a pressing topic all over the country right now. What has been the impact of COVID-19 on in your state specifically, and how have you mitigated it? And if you can share one or two examples of how you use DRE technology, maybe to basically remodel the technology to use it somewhere in the health sector, something like that.
Yeah, COVID has really thrown us in the, it has thrown us outside the thinking power of how to cope with such. And COVID is there to stay. Today is COVID-19 version. Tomorrow it could be COVID-20 version. So, but we have to live with it. We can't outlive it. It can outlive us also. So I see a lot of stress in community now. We have around 30,000 youth, unemployed youth, who went outside, who were working, who came back, were earning 10,000 to 20,000 rupees a month. Today they are jobless. They may have, that is the record that we have. 15,000 was what we evacuated as per record from across the country. But who may have come on their own, affluent, we don't know. But we expect around 30,000. And if we are taking at 10,000 rupees a month, it's 30 crores of money that could have come to the state. How do we create job opportunities for them? I still don't know. The answer is, it's not there with us. But if we don't do something for them, they can go the wrong way. There will be suicidal, there will be murder, there will be dacoity, there will be theft. So we are still groping in finding out a solution, because this problem is huge. It's gigantic. It's like Titanic. We don't know, and we can't answer this, whether the Meghalaya as a ship will sink or will rise. But I see hope in it. And then, because without unemployment, there's no development. If you start being unemployed, you'll have to look at ways and means to be gainfully employed. But as I said earlier, we have to create an enabling environment for these entrepreneurs who have come out. I look at them as entrepreneurs, not as beneficiaries of a government program. If we look at them as beneficiaries, we are finished. Then it will be only grants and subsidies. But we'll look at it as how these people, because they have some sets of skills that they have gone out to be employed, could we use the same set of skills for them to be employable here? So that mapping needs to be done now. We have around another 40,000 in the data registered with us of micro enterprise who have shut down their shops, have taken loan because there were no opportunities. Markets are closed, tailors, barbers, markets are closed. I don't know where, rest of India, it would be the same. And they've taken loan. There's a guy who's taken for a health club, a gym. Before he could inaugurate it, he took a loan of 40 lakhs. He cannot open it. Banks are after him to pay. So how do we go on? I'm talking of micro enterprise of 40,000 of 1 lakh loan part of it, only 1 lakh. I'm not talking of the medium and small scale. I'm talking of micro. So how do we go about it? But can we look at local economy? Lots of our fruits, vegetables, lot of our paddy, lots of fish come from mainland India. But we have a lot of rivers, we have a lot of unutilized land. Can we look at growing back, producing something that can be consumed? We have a population of 30 lakhs, 10 lakhs is in the city. How the produce come from outside? Can we look at the gap of what comes from outside, what can be produced by us? And can we look at these human resources to use them as the prime movers for entrepreneurs to grow and thrive? So that is COVID-19 pandemic, which has created a lot of issues. And I also very skeptical of us using sanitizers. 90%, 95% alcohol, where we sanitize our hands morning and night. As a person from science and technology background, what effect does it have on pregnant women, an unborn child, of the usage of so much chemical? What is the effect of our soap, Dettol, that we use to wash our hands, that goes into our drinking water? Is there any solution? Won't there be problems for the next generation to come? Do we have the technologies that will ensure that this does not go back to our drinking source, to our air that we breathe? Or do we come out with another kind of mantra saying, like global carbon sequencing? Tomorrow we'll start talking about alcoholic sequencing, that chemical sequencing, sanitizers sequencing, all that. So nobody has studied this. Actually, we are not treating the diseases. We're treating the symptoms. So there's no solution. Of course, it's just cut and paste now. You just do whatever, you clean yourself, but we'll wait next generation and see what happens. It's a lot of research needs to be done in the country. What happens to when all this chemical goes into the soil? Would all the micronutrients that are there disappear? Would the viruses that are negative to our lives, would they mutate and come out with deadly viruses that we cannot cope again? That's why I told COVID-20 version will come. And sad for our next generation, because we are the one who created this. Had we gone organic, have we eaten our own good food instead of looking at processed food? Can we go back to our not only kitchen garden? Can we look at organic nutritional gardens in every school, in every locality, that we start consuming our own indigenous non-hybrid seeds? Look, go back to our roots. Go back. What this COVID has taught us is go back to your roots. Start looking at environment, because we are talking of science, technology, and environment. Go back to your environment. Do everything organically. Don't try to short circuit nature by doing hybrids of everything. So the RE has got a lot of potential now. As I said, value addition of these produce. How do we dry it in this? So in COVID, what we had done from science and technology is we had linked farmers, producers to the market through our vehicles, to send our vehicles. Because we are from government, we used to take the ration from the dry ration from the wholesalers in the cities, send our vehicle down to the villages, give them the ration at a wholesale price, bring in the produce and sell it. And we have created, in this pandemic, in the lockdown, 2 boys have become entrepreneurs of doing this work. They were just drivers in our office. Today, they're willing to set up buying vehicles because they know which produce to get from where and what the community wants. So we're creating, with a small initiative, we have created 2 entrepreneurs. We have 4 vehicles. And from 4 vehicles was run by volunteers then. Today, 2 of them are willing to start up their own initiative. Then that will come into packaging, that will come into producing, marketing, because it's a market already. As I said, Shillong has a population of 10 lakhs. If each person eats 1 gram, we have got 10 lakhs into 1 gram. That's a huge consumption. That could be done within the state. So that's how we are looking at now. With how we tackle this is grow more, grow to consume within and become healthy. So science and technology now, main focus would be kindly create organic nutritional gardens at every household and try to look at open pollination seeds indigenous native seeds, look at native breeds of livestock because they are resilient to disease and pests, and look at how DRE could be used to value add these produce to increase the shelf of life. Like we can have a solar fridge, a solar powered refrigerator, so that you can put these produce in stock in case there's a lockdown at village level, at cluster level, they can still consume the own food items that they produce. So this is our roadmap now, post-COVID. I call it post-COVID, and you know, it's very sad that positive has become negative. When you say COVID positive, you are negative in life. So it should have been different, you know. So we tell our children that mobile is bad, that we should not use mobile so much. We teach our school children not to watch the TV. Today, it hit us back. We are teaching children on online classes, webinar. So one way we are saying it's bad. The same children now we are telling, no, you study online. So where are we heading? God only knows. For humans, we don't know. So that's my take for this. I hope all of us stay safe, stay positive in a positive way, and stay clean in a clean way. In whatever we are taught health and hygiene from class nursery, but we never practice it. Today, COVID has compelled us to do Swash Bharat. And that's it. That's the mantra.
Thank you so much for your insights and your time, sir. So these were all the questions from my end. I would also like to thank all the viewers and the listeners for investing their time in this podcast.